It's March 2026, Indore. An ordinary evening, families are home settling in. The parking basement is quiet, just rows of cars and bikes resting after a long day. But in the corner, something is wrong. A fire breaks out. It doesn't start with a roar, but a whisper of smoke. Within minutes, that toxic smoke doesn't just stay in the basement, it climbs, it finds the path of least resistance, the stairwell, the electrical shaft, the service duct. It turns these hidden arteries into a chimney funneling smoke directly into the corridor above. 8 people never make it out. The investigators suspect the fire started near an EV charging point. And in the blink of an eye, the country asks, are electric vehicles dangerous? But that might be the wrong question because weeks earlier, another EV caught fire in Ghaziabad. Before that, a battery exploded in Noida, South Korea, Singapore, China. The headline paints one terrifying picture. The electric vehicles are ticking time bomb. I dug into hundreds of pages of fire reports, building codes, and battery research, speaking to experts on the front line, and I realized something surprising. This isn't really a story about electric cars, it's a story about something much bigger, something we ignore every single day.
साथियों, आज भारत में इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल का बाजार जितनी तेजी से बड़ा हो रहा है,
India is going electric and fast. Millions of electric two-wheelers and cars are already on the road. By 2030, the government wants them to be the backbone of our transport. The vision is that the cleaner cities, fewer fuel imports, and a sustainable future. It sounds great, right? But there's a ghost in the machine, a fundamental problem. Now, our cities weren't designed for this. Think about an apartment complex which was built like 15 years ago. It expected a few petrol cars, maybe a diesel SUV. It definitely did not expect a dozen of high-capacity lithium-ion batteries charging overnight, right underneath where hundreds of families are sleeping. The technology changed, but the building did not. We aren't preparing for a few thousand cars. Projections show that India's EV market could grow 12 folds, reaching around 30 million vehicles by 2032. This isn't a trickle of change, it's a tsunami. The question is simple and clear. If our roads are changing this fast, why aren't our buildings? Now let's look at the nervous system of any building, the electrical grid. An EV charger isn't just like a light bulb. A typical 7 kilowatt home charger, it's like running 3 air conditioners on one circuit for hours. Imagine a building with 100 apartments. If even half install a 7 kilowatt charger, that's a massive 350 kilowatt load. If everyone does it, that's 700 kilowatts. Can the old transformers really handle this? In India, managers, especially the home managers and residential managers, they rarely tell residents about the electrical load. There is no citywide dashboard. The first warning signs won't be a light. It will be a fire. Who decides when the transformer is maxed out? Who pays for the upgrade? Right now, the answer is nobody knows and nobody is asking. And the building themselves. We build boxes with balconies, but look at the real nervous system. A blocked corridor, a broken service elevator, staircases jammed with old coolers and Diwali decorations. No automatic sprinklers, the cables are exposed, a tangled mess of wires which are held together by old wires. Now that's a very common picture that you see on the streets in India, right? The fire hose pressure is so low, it wouldn't reach the 3rd floor.
ऊपर जाएगा पानी?
हाँ जाएगा, आप देखते रहो.
We treat the basement like a junk drawer, a place for old generators, cardboards, and waste. And now we are stuffing it with high-density energy farms. But let's go deeper. The battery isn't the only thing under pressure. Hidden beneath the floor, the building's electrical system is being asked to do something it was never designed for. For example, take a Tata Nexon EV. Its home charger pulls around 7.2 kilowatts, that's 32 amps. A single charger pulls nearly the entire sanctioned load of many Indian flats. Now just imagine a building with 100 flats and 50 EVs. Even if only half charge at night, that's 180 kilowatts just for the cars. Add that to the lifts, pumps and ACs and you hit the limit of most 500 kilowatt ampere transformer. That's why smart charging is critical. Instead of 100 cars pulling power at 7 p.m., the system must stagger them. But older buildings weren't designed for this. They assume we are only running fans and TVs. Now, to be clear, higher load doesn't automatically equal fire. A properly built system can handle it. But adding this much load to older infrastructure without an audit, now that's a danger zone. It's not about fear, it's about planning. Now, here's a crucial clarification that gets lost in the hysteria. Electric vehicles do not catch fire more often than petrol cars. In fact, studies consistently show the opposite. Internal combustion engine, or the ICE, which we call, with their flammable fuel and hot exhaust, have more fire incident overall. So why do EV fire make headlines? Why do they feel different? Because they behave differently. A fire which was made by a petrol car burns fuel, and EV fire burns chemistry. Now that's a very important distinction. Inside every EV batteries are hundreds, sometimes thousands of lithium-ion cells, each storing an enormous amount of energy. Normally, a sophisticated battery management system is the guardian. It controls the temperature, voltage, and charging. But if even one cell becomes unsustainable from the damage, a manufacturing defect, or overheating, it can trigger a chain reaction. Now, this is what we call as a thermal runaway. One cell overheats, then the next, then another. The battery doesn't need oxygen from outside. It generates everything it needs to continue burning in a self-sustaining chemical firestorm. This makes EV fire hotter, more difficult to extinguish, and chillingly capable of reigniting hours, sometimes days, after they seem to be put out. A petrol fire is a campfire, and EV fire is a contained chemical explosion that keeps reigniting. But here's the twist that fire engineers have known for decades. The flames aren't what kill people, smoke is. It's estimated that most fire deaths happen because people inhale toxic smoke long before the flames ever reach them. The carbon monoxide, the hydrogen cyanide from the burning plastics, it overwhelms a sleeping person in seconds. Now picture that. Underground parking garage in Indore, limited ventilation, one vehicle in the thermal runaway, that toxic superheated smoke doesn't just stay in the parking lot. It begins its silent climb. It rises through the stables, the electrical shaft, the service duct, the very lungs of the building. Within minutes, what was a car problem in the basement now becomes a life or death crisis on every floor. This isn't a story about a car, it's about the building. Now, India actually has a building safety standards. They are called as a National Building Code. It's a comprehensive document. It talks about fire resistance materials, exits with ventilations. It's a good code, but here's the uncomfortable truth which people don't know or don't realize. The National Building Code is exactly that. It's a code. It's not a national law. It's a model, a suggestion which was published by BIS, which is called as a Bureau of Indian Standards. Now, under our constitution, fire service is a state subject and included in the 12th schedule of the Constitution of India, which specifies the power, authority, and the responsibility of the municipalities. Now, state governments are responsible for fire prevention and for implementing safety measures through the State Fire Act or the building bylaws. Now, building regulations are a state subject. Each state and each local authority within it decides whether and how to incorporate the code's provision into their own bylaws. Only then do they become legally enforceable. So a building in Maharashtra might have a different legal standard than the ones in UP. Implementing isn't just varied, it's a patchwork. Now meanwhile, our buildings are on a collision course with reality. Basements once which was meant for parking dead vehicles now house high voltage charging infrastructure and massive energy storage farms. A building which was designed in 2010 is now performing a role it was never designed for, regulated by a code that may not even be a law in that jurisdiction. Now this is the gap, and fire really loves this gap. Every high-rise should have a fire NOC from the fire department. It's a certificate which specifically states whether the building met the prescribed safety requirements at one point in time. Your residents' welfare association doesn't actually issue this. The fire department does, but RWA is responsible for maintaining the system, and that allows the building to retain that compliance. When was the last time your RWA audited the electrical load, tested the basement ventilation, held an evacuation drill? For most of us, the answer is never. The paper shield is all we have. Now, what is a paper shield? It basically means we hold a piece of paper that says the building was safe once, but we have no guarantee whether it's safe right now. The certificate creates an illusion of protection, a shield that exists only on paper, not in reality. Now, India isn't the first country to face this terrifying wake-up call. On August 1st, 2026, near Incheon, South Korea, a Mercedes-Benz EV caught fire in an underground parking lot. It wasn't just a car fire, it was a catastrophe. It destroyed around 140 vehicles, damaged the apartment's critical emergency system, and sent a nationwide shockwave of fear through the country. Now, residents associations started demanding a ban on EV in the underground parking. Now, Seoul's city government responded. By the end of September. They issued a guidelines recommending a maximum EV charging limit of around 90% in the underground parking lot. They also asked domestic manufacturers to build in a charge limit feature, a toggle that would grant the vehicles a charge limit certificate for basement access. So if you have anything below 90%, you are allowed to go inside the basement. On the other side, China took a harder step. From July 1st of 2026, new standard laws came into effect. No more guidelines. There were rules. Every new EV must have a physical one-touch button, which is a kill switch that creates a physical disconnection between the high voltage circuitry and the battery. And even more importantly, the new standard requires that the battery pack do not catch fire or explode during the thermal runaway. This is a massive leap from the old 5-minute warning, which is basically a rule that just required the car to alert you before it bursts into flame. China is forcing the battery itself to be the safety device. Seoul is trying to manage behavior. Two very different approaches to the same terrifying problem. But let's bring this back to the ground. To the aftermath, an EV charging in the basement undergoes thermal runaway. It sets fire to the car next to it and spreads to the other car. Structural columns are compromised, the whole buildings are evacuated. The question everyone will be asking, who pays? The car owner? Whether the third-party insurance? Right now the answer is nobody knows. And nobody will know until it's too late. On the other side, our firefighters, the brave first responders, are a new invisible front line. They are not just fighting a fire, they are fighting an unpredictable chemical reaction. An EV fire can require tens and thousands of liters of water, more than a conventional fire. Not to put it out, but just to cool the battery down to stop the thermal runaway. Now, what equipment do our municipality fire department have? How many have thermal imaging cameras to see where the heat is trapped inside the battery casing? How many are trained for a 12-hour operation to submerge a single smoldering car in a water tank? The skills and the tools of firefighting needs to change as fast as the cars. And this brings us to the uncomfortable heart of the problem, the builder economics. Safer parking costs money. High power ventilation costs money. Sprinkler system, thermal cameras, dedicated EV zones with the firewalls, all of it costs serious amount of money. In a market that's obsessed over square footage, a fancy clubhouse, and an Italian marble in the lobby, who is going to pay for a smarter fire resistance basement, right? Who cares for the safety? The sad reality is that we treat basement as the building's subconscious. It's like nobody cares. A dark, forgotten space to throw everything we don't want to see. And as long as it's invisible, no one's asked, no one cares, and no one pays. This isn't an hopeless story. This is an engineering problem, and every engineering problem has some kind of solution. What does an EV-ready building looks like? It's not magic. It has dedicated charging areas on the ground floor or in a separate ventilated structure, not crammed into a deep, unventilated basement. It has automatic fire suppression system and smoke extraction that's tested every quarter. It has a smart electrical grid that dynamically manages the load, so not every car charges at the peak time, preventing an overload. Certified charging equipment with a thermal sensor can cut power the moment an abnormal temperature spike is detected. Regular electrical and fire safety audits aren't optional, they are a legal requirement by the RWA. And the cars themselves are getting safer. Battery safety standards like India's AIS 156 have already made the second generation of EV batteries significantly safer than the first one. Now, there are safer chemistries like LFP, lithium iron phosphate batteries, are becoming more common. They are heavier but far less prone to the thermal runaway than other lithium ion chemistries. The industry is learning, now the building needs to learn too. Now think about this, 100 years ago, a world didn't have gas stations or traffic lights. Cities had to adapt to the petrol cars. They had to invent the entire infrastructure of the 20th century. Now we are asking our cities to adapt the same thing. Except this time, instead of storing underground tanks, of liquid fuel at a station, our buildings are storing thousands of miniature chemical plants in the basement. Our EV revolution isn't just happening on our roads, it's happening underneath our homes. And whether this transition succeeds or fails, whether it becomes a tragedy or a triumph, may depend less on the beautiful cars we build and more on the forgotten, hidden, and ignored buildings we already have. The question isn't whether India is ready for electric vehicles, the real question is, are India's building ready for the EV revolution?